it's gonna stay like that. Grandpa served and he joined USAA. He shared membership with your mom, so she'll give it to you. Take good care of you.
USAA members is open for a full 24 hours and prevents future flare-ups. Once Daily Trilogy also improves lung function, so I can breathe more freely all day and all day and night.
Hey, how's it going, Eli? Thanks for coming in. Love and appreciate you, man. How's your head? How's your week been, brother? Mine has been, I don't know. It's been a week. Nothing really eventful happened. No, been playing Diablo, getting my ass kicked in that. Started out, it's got a new season going on. Just dropped here last week, so. But I started out playing a, what was it, Necromancer. And he sucked greatly. Greatly did he suck. So I didn't go far with him. I killed him, deleted him, and started a druid. And then reworked my druid, found a better build online, and reworked it. Now I've been playing it. Not doing too bad. He's got lightning powers. He just destroys the shit out of stuff with lightning, which is kind of cool. To watch this thing blow up like that. I haven't been really doing the, I got one more chapter. Devious, I bought about 6 or 7 copies of Lame used for under $1. I'm putting them all in the little free libraries. Of Lamb, I bet that's 7 copies of Lamb used for under $1. I'm putting them in the little free libraries I can find you. Dude, that is... Hey, Eli, that's fucking awesome, man. That's funny. I'm assuming it says lame used, but I'm assuming that's lamb. Autocorrect fuckers. Yeah, that's awesome, dude. I'm really enjoying this book, to be honest with you. I like it. I like it, so I do. I'm gonna have to buy a few more of his books. Let me get rid of this. Boom. There we go. Noise in the background. I started to read another Joseph McCabe book. It is The Myth of the Resurrection and Other Essays. Boom. And it is actually a collection of his writings. A lot of them little blue books. Yep. From the Free Thought Library. And let's see here. Table of contents. The Myth of the Resurrection. The Christ that Rose, the Gospel Fairy Tale. The Mourning over Tammuz, the Resurrection of Osiris, Greek Resurrections, the Meaning of the Myth. But the full series is as good as Lamb. Oh, nice! I'll have to try them. And then there's Did Jesus Ever Live? Chapters, The Modern Denial, The Fiction of the Gospels, Paul and Jesus, Jewish and Pagan Witnesses, A Broad View, Jesus and Historical Ghost. The Myth of the Resurrection, and then How Christianity Triumphed. The Legendary Triumph, The Conversion of Constantine, The Martyr Turns Persecutor, The End of Paganism, and The Glorious Result. It's a pretty good collection, and I might just put it up here on the channel. So I might. But, hey, it looks like we have 10 people. No one's saying hi, but that's okay. Thanks for stopping in. Love and appreciate you. How's your head? There, we dropped down to 3 like a rocket shot, man. And if you're here, please say hi. If you're new, please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And tonight's buzz is brought to you by... I had it here in a minute. Here it is. Flower-wise, we are Sunday Sherbert. So we are. Vilaf. How's it going? Thanks for coming in. Love and appreciate you. How's your head? Thanks for saying hi. Please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would greatly appreciate it. You don't have to listen and watch any of my videos if you don't want to. I just really appreciate the subscription. Tonight, in this live, I am reading from the Book of Lamb by Christopher Moore. And it's a pretty good book. I encourage you to go buy the book. If you listen to tonight and you like what you hear, please go buy the book. I highly encourage book buying. Books are good. And I like the feeling of a book in hand. And you can always trade them off. That's the nice thing. You can always do like the last Druid did. He just found 5 copies of this book. What was it? For under $1? Or for under $1. And he's sharing them to these free little libraries that you find all over the place, which is a wonderful thing. I think that's fantastic. But yeah, go buy the book. You're gonna like it. That's what she said. And that's what he said. What's our time? 10:07. So we are. Let's see. Let me bring up the tablet here. Let's see. Where was I? Okay. What's that? No, that's not what I wanted. Okay, never mind. There we go. Alright. So, there we are. I just wanted to check something. So, 2 more minutes and then we'll start reading. Is Dude in the house? Has Deuterino made it? I haven't seen him pop up there, so I don't think he has. And I hate to start reading without the El Deuterino in the house. Did he fall asleep, maybe? Check on him there, last Druid. If you can. Here's a book I found I'm going to read. I might do shorts with this one. Essays on, or poems on evolution. They're kind of loosely evolution poems. And some are kind of different. But I might try to do 1 or 2. Who knows? They're kind of long, some of them. And they're kind of different. William Ernest Henley. Paul Hamilton Haney. Oh, you'll send me one. Nice, dude. Last Druid, you rock, brother. Let's see, where are we? Oh, it's 10:09. I've got my little tablet down there beside me. It has the time on it. 10:09. Here's a cute little one. The First Idealist. And this was written by, it's a little poem on evolution. Who wrote this little one? This little ditty was Grant Allen wrote this little ditty. The First Idealist. A jellyfish swam in a tropical sea, and he said, "This world, it consists of me. There's nothing above and nothing below that a jellyfish ever could possibly know. Since we've got no sight or hearing or smell beyond what our single sense can tell. Now, all that I learn from the sense of touch is in fact of my feelings viewed as such. But to think that they have any external cause is an inference clean against logical laws. Again, to suppose, as I'm hitherto done, there are other jellyfish under the sun, is a pure assumption that can't be backed by a jot of proof or a single fact. In short, like Hume, I very much doubt if there's anything else at all without. So I can come at last to the plain conclusion, when the subject is fairly set free from confusion, that the universe simply centers in me, and if I were not, then nothing would be. That minute, a shark who was strolling by just gulped him down in the twink of an eye, and he died with a few convulsive twists. But somehow, the universe still exists. I like that one. Grant Allen, poem from the book Poems on Evolution, or Poems of Evolution, an anthology by Langdon Smith and others. Little Blue Book number 71. It's a pretty cool one. It's got some cool little poems in it, writings and such. And I'll do some of them. Maybe I'll do some of them in shorts. That would be a good one for a short. All right, what time is it, kids? It is 10:12, and I don't know if Dude has made it, or if he fell asleep. I did remind him today, and he was aware. So hopefully he makes it. All right, so we're going to get started, and he can catch up. So here we go. Let's just start a paragraph or two before. Justice walked through the construction site, acting as if every eye was not on him, or not caring, and paused as he passed Joshua and me. "Leprous jar of camel snot," he said under his breath. "Old Hebrew blessing," I ventured. "You two should be in the hills with the other Hebrew rebels." The Roman laughed, tousled our hair, then walked away. Send him a text. Oh, I hear. Okay, got you, bud. Well, yeah, hopefully he doesn't have too much trouble when he makes it on. The sunset was turning the hillsides pink as we walked home to Nazareth that evening. In addition to being almost exhausted from the work, Joshua seemed vexed by the events of the day. "Did you know that? About not being able to build on sand?" he asked. "Of course. My father's been talking about it for a long time. You can't build on sand. But what you build will fall down." Joshua nodded thoughtfully. "What about soil? Dirt? Is it okay to build on that?" "Rocks is best, but I suppose hard dirt is good." I need to remember that. We seldom saw Maggie in those days. After we began working with my father, I found myself looking forward to the Sabbath when we would go to the synagogue, and I would mill around outside among the women, while the men were inside listening to the reading of the Torah or the arguments of the Pharisees. It was one of the few times I could talk to Maggie without Joshua around, for though he resented the Pharisees even then, he knew he could learn from them. So he spent the Sabbath listening to their teachings. I still wonder if this time I stole with Maggie somehow represented a disloyalty to Joshua. But later, when I asked him about it, he said, "God is willing to forgive you the sin that you carry for being a child of man, but you must forgive yourself for having once been a child." I suppose that's right. Of course it's right. I'm the son of God, you dolt. Besides, Maggie always wanted to talk about me anyway, didn't she? "Not always," I lied. On the Sabbath before the murder, I found Maggie outside the synagogue sitting by herself under a date palm tree. I shuffled up to her to talk, but kept looking at my feet. I knew that if I looked into her eyes, I would forget what I was talking about. So I only looked at her in brief takes, the way a man will glance up at the sun on a sweltering day to confirm the source of the heat. "Where's Joshua? were the first words out of her mouth, of course. Studying with the men. She seemed disappointed for a moment, but then brightened. How was your work? Hard. I was playing better. I like playing better. What is Sepphoris like? Is it like Jerusalem? No, it's smaller, but there are a lot of Romans there. She'd seen Romans. I needed something to impress her, and there were graven images, statues of people. Maggie covered her mouth to stifle a giggle. Statues, really? I would love to see them. Then come with us. We are leaving tomorrow very early before anyone is awake. I couldn't. Where would I tell my mother I was going? Tell her that you're going to Sepphoris with the Messiah and his pal. Her eyes went wide, and I looked away quickly before I was caught in their spell. You shouldn't talk that way, Biff. I saw the angel. You said yourself that you shouldn't say it. I was only joking. Tell your mother that I told you about a beehive that I found, and that you want to go find some honey while the bees are still groggy from the morning cold. It's a full moon tonight, so you'll be able to see. She just might believe you. She might, but she'll know I was lying when I don't bring home any honey. Tell her it was a hornet's nest. She thinks Josh and I are stupid anyway, doesn't she? She thinks that Joshua is touched in the head, but you, yes, she thinks you're stupid. You see, my plan is working, for it is written that if the wise man always appears stupid, his failures do not disappoint, and his success gives pleasant surprise. Maggie smacked me on the leg. That is not written. Sure it is. Imbeciles 3 verse 7. There is no book of imbeciles. Drudges 5:4. You're making that up. Come with us. You can be back to Nazareth before it's time to fetch the morning water. Why so early? What are you two up to? We're going to circumcise Apollo. She didn't say anything. She just looked at me as if she would see liar written across my forehead in fire. It wasn't my idea, I said. It was Joshua's. I'll go then, she said. And that's the end of chapter 4. And we'll pause for hydration because I have cotton mouth. And the concentrate I'll be smoking tonight is from Prime. And it is African Thai BX1 number 4. Boom. That's what we're having tonight in the concentrate. So, before I started the live, I was doing the flower, and now we're doing the concentrate. Ooh. That's going to make me cough. I can just feel it right now. It's going to be horrible in probably about 30 seconds or so. All right, here we go. Chapter 5. Hey, there's dude. Eli said you would make it, brother. I also had faith. How are you, brother? Thanks for coming in. Love and appreciate you. How's your head? Anybody else that's here that's new, please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel and then come back. I'll continue reading to you. I am reading for the Book of Lamb tonight. The Book of Lamb, written by Christopher Moore. It is the Gospel according to Biff, Christ's childhood pal. And if you bought the some oil too, sounds good, brother. Sounds good, dude. All right, so here we go. We just finished chapter 4. We're going to go on to chapter 5. All right, you ready, kids? Well, it worked. I finally got the angel to leave the room. It went like this. Raziel called down to the front desk and asked him to send Jesus up. A few minutes later, our Latin pal stood at attention at the foot of the angel's bed. Raziel said, "Tell him I need a soap opera digest." In Spanish, I said, "Good afternoon, Jesus. How are you today? I am well, sir, and you? As good as can be expected, considering this man is holding me prisoner. Tell him to hurry, said Raziel. He doesn't understand Spanish? Jesus asked. Not a word of it. But don't start speaking Hebrew or I'm sunk. Are you really a prisoner? I wondered why you two never left the room. Should I call the police? No, that won't be necessary. But please, shake your head and look apologetic. What is taking so long? Raziel said. Give him the money and tell him to go. He said he is not allowed to buy publications for you. But he can direct you to a place where you can purchase them yourself. That's ridiculous. He's a servant, isn't he? He will do as I ask. Oh my, Jesus. He has asked if you would like to feel the power of his manly nakedness. Is he crazy? I have a wife and 2 children. Sadly, yes. Please, show him that you are offended by his offer by spitting on him and storming out of the room. I don't know, sir. Spitting on a guest. I handed him a handful of the bills that he'd taught me were more appropriate gratuities. Gratuities. I can't do it. Gratuities. It's just not going to happen. Please, it will be good for him. Very well, Mr. Biff. He produced an impressive loogie and launched it at the front of the angel's robe, where it splatted and ran. Raziel leapt to his feet. Well done, Jesus. Now curse. You fuckstick! In Spanish. Sorry, I was showing off my English. Oh. I know many swear words. Well done. Spanish, please. Pendejo. Splendid. Now storm out. Jesus turned on his heel and left the room, slamming the door behind him. He spit on me, Raziel said, still not believing it. An angel of the Lord, and he spit on me. Yes, you offended him. He called me a fuckstick. I heard him. In his culture, it is an affront to ask another man to buy a soap opera digest for you. We'll be lucky if he ever brings us a pizza again. But I want a soap opera digest. He said you can buy one just down the street. I will be happy to go and get it for you. Not so fast, apostle. None of your tricks. I'll get it myself. You stay here. You'll need money. I handed him some bills. If you leave the room, I will find you in an instant. You know that. Absolutely. You cannot hide from me. Wouldn't dream of it. Hurry now. He sort of shuffled sideways towards the door. Don't try to lock me out. I'm taking the key with me. Not that I need it or anything, being an angel of the Lord. Not to mention a fuckstick. I don't even know what that means. Go, go, go. I shooed through the door. Godspeed, Raziel. Work on your gospel while I'm gone. Right. I slammed the door in his face and threw the safety lock. Raziel has now watched hundreds of hours of American television. You'd think he would have noticed that people wear shoes when they go outside. The book is exactly as I suspected. A Bible, but written in a flowery version of this English I've been writing in. The translation of the Torah and the prophets from the Hebrew is muddled sometimes, but the first part seems to be our Bible. This language is amazing. So many words. In my time, we had few words, perhaps 100 that we used all the time, and 30 of them were synonymous for guilt. In this language, you can curse for an hour and never use the same word twice. Flocks and schools and herds of words. That's why I'm supposed to use this language to tell Joshua's story. I've hidden the book in the bathroom so I can sneak in and read it while the angel is in his room. I don't have time to actually read much of the part of the book they call the New Testament, but it's obvious that it is the story of Joshua's life, or parts of it, anyway. I'll study it later, but now I should go on with the real story. And we'll pause for hydration. Got two itties. Got two itties. Ah, there you go. All right, here we go. All right. I suppose I should have considered the exact nature of what we were doing before I invited Maggie to join us. I mean, there is some difference between the circumcision of an 8-day-old baby boy, which she had seen before, and the same operation on the 10-foot statue of a Greek god. My goodness, that is, impressive, Maggie said, staring up at the marble member. Graven image, Joshua said under his breath. Even in the moonlight, I could tell he was blushing. Let's do it. I pulled a small iron chisel from my pouch. Joshua was wrapping the head of the mallet with leather to deaden its sound. Sepphoris slept around us, the silence broken only by the occasional bleat of a sheep. The evening cook fires had long since gone to coals. The dust cloud that stirred through the city during the day had settled, and the night air was clean and still. From time to time, I would catch a sweet whiff of sandalwood coming from Maggie, and I would lose my train of thought. Funny the things you remember. We found a bucket and turned it upside down for Joshua to stand on while he worked. He set the tip of my chisel on Apollo's foreskin and ventured a light tap with the mallet. A tiny fragment of marble flaked away. Give it a good whack, I said. I can't. It'll make too much noise. No, it won't. The leather will cover it. But I might take the whole end of it off. He can spare it, Maggie said, and we both turned to her with our mouths hanging open. Probably, she added quickly. I'm only guessing. What do I know? I'm just a girl. Do you guys smell something? We smelled the Roman before we heard him before we saw him. The Romans covered themselves with olive oil before they bathed. So, if the wind was right, or if it was an especially hot day, you could smell a Roman coming at 30 paces. Yep, that's right, before they bathed. Figured it would be after, but nope, it's before. Okay. Between the olive oil they bathed with and the garlic and dried paste of anchovies they ate with their barley, when the legions marched into battle, it must have smelled like an invasion of pizza people. If they'd had pizza back then, which they didn't. Joshua took a quick swipe with the mallet and the chisel slipped, neatly severing Apollo's unit, which fell to the dirt with a dull thud. Whoops, said the Savior. Shh, I shushed. We heard the hobnails of the Romans' boots scraping on stone. Joshua jumped down from the bucket and looked frantically for a place to hide. The walls of the Greeks' bathhouse were almost completely around the statue. So really, except for the entrance where the Roman was coming, there was no place to run. Hey, what are you doing here? We stood as still as the statue. I could see that it was the legionnaire that had been with Justus our first day in Sepphoris. Sir, it's us, Biff and Joshua, remember? The kid from the bread? The soldier moved closer, his hand on the haft of his half-drawn short sword. My brain's gonna have fun with that. Factapuck! Go subscribe to my YouTube channel. The soldier moved closer, his hand on the heft of his half-drawn short sword. Man, that's gonna fucking my brain. When he saw Joshua, he relaxed a bit. What are you doing here so early? No one is to be about at this hour. Suddenly, the soldier was yanked backward off of his feet, and a dark figure fell on him, thrusting a blade back into his chest over and over. Maggie screamed, and the figure turned to us. I started to run. "Stop!" the murderer hissed. I froze. Maggie threw her arms around me and hid her face in my shirt as I trembled. A gurgling sound came from the soldier, but he lay still. Joshua made a step toward the murderer, and I threw an arm across his chest to stop him. "That was wrong," Joshua said, almost in tears. "You are wrong to kill that man." The murderer held his bloody blade up by his face and grinned at us. "Is it not written that Moses became a prophet only after killing an Egyptian slave driver? No master but God." "Sicarii," I said. "Yes, boy, Sicarii. Only when the Romans are dead will the Messiah come to set us free. I serve God by killing this tyrant." "You serve evil," Joshua said. "The Messiah didn't call for the blood of this Roman." The assassin raised his blade and came at Joshua. Maggie and I leapt back, but Joshua stood his ground. The assassin grabbed him by the front of his shirt and pulled him close. "What do you know of it, boy?" We could clearly see the murderer's face in the moonlight. Maggie gasped. "Jeremiah!" His eyes went wide, with fear or recognition. I don't know which. He released Joshua and made as if to grab Maggie. I pulled her away. "Mary?" The anger left his voice. "Little Mary?" Maggie said nothing, but I could feel her shoulder heave as she began to sob. "Tell no one of this," the murderer said, now talking as if he were in a trance. He backed away and stood beside the dead soldier. "No master but God," he said, and then turned and ran into the night. Joshua put his hand on Maggie's head, and she immediately stopped crying. "Jeremiah is my father's brother," she said. And let me stop that racket. Boom. Boom. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. I had to stop the racket. Before I go on, you should know about the Sicarii, and know about them. Oh, and to know about them, you have to know about the Herods. So, here you go. About the time that Joshua and I were meeting for the first time, King Herod the Great died after ruling Israel under the Romans for over 40 years. It was, in fact, the death of Herod that prompted Joseph to bring his family back to Nazareth from Egypt, but that's another story. Now you need to know about Herod. Herod wasn't called the Great because he was a beloved ruler. Herod the Great was, in fact, a fat, paranoid, pox-ridden tyrant who murdered thousands of Jews, including his own wife and many of his sons. Herod was called the Great because he built things, amazing things. Fortresses, palaces, theaters, harbors, a whole city. Caesarea, modeled on the Roman ideal of what a city should be. The one thing he did for the Jewish people who hated him was to rebuild the Temple of Solomon on Mount Moriah, the center of our faith. When H and G died, Rome divided his kingdom among 3 of his sons, Archelaus, Herod Philip, and Herod Antipas. It was Antipas who ultimately passed sentence on John the Baptist and gave Joshua over to Pilate. Antipas, you sniveling fuckstick. If only we'd had the word back then. It was Antipas whose toady pandering to the Roman caused bands of Jewish rebels to rise up in the hills by the hundreds. The Romans called all of these rebels zealots, as if they were all united in method as well as cause. But, in fact, they were all fragmented as Jews of the villages, One of the bands that rose in Galilee called themselves Sicarii. They showed their disapproval of Roman rule by the assassination of Roman soldiers and officials. Although certainly not the largest group of zealots by number, they were the most conspicuous by their actions. No one knew where they came from, and no one knew where they went to after they killed. But every time they struck, the Romans did their best to make our lives hell, to get us to give the killers up. And when the Romans caught a zealot, they didn't just crucify the leader of the band. They crucified the whole band, their families, and anyone suspected of helping them. More than once, we saw the road out of Sepphoris lined with the crosses and corpses of my people. We ran through the sleeping city, stopping only after we had passed through the Venus Gate, where we fell in a heap on the ground, gasping. "We have to take Maggie home and get back here for work," Joshua said. "You can stay here," Maggie said. "I can go by myself." "No, we have to go." Joshua held his arms out to his side, and we saw the bloody handprints the killer had left on his shirt. "I have to clean this before someone sees it." "Can't you just make it go away?" Maggie asked. "It's just a stain. I think the Messiah could get a stain out." "Be nice," I said. "He's not that good at Messiah stuff yet." "It was your uncle, after all." Maggie jumped to her feet. "You were the one who wanted to do this stupid thing." "Stop," Joshua said, holding his hand up as if he were sprinkling us with silence. "If Maggie hadn't been with us, we might be dead now. We may still not be safe when the Sicarii realize the 3 witnesses live." An hour later, Maggie was home safe, and Joshua emerged from the ritual bath outside the synagogue, his clothes soaked and rivulets running out of his hair. Many of us had these mikvahs outside of our homes, and there were hundreds outside the temple in Jerusalem. Stone pits with steps leading down both sides into the water, so one might walk in over one's head on one side, then out on the other after the ritual cleansing was done. According to the law, any contact with blood called for a cleansing. Joshua thought it would be a good opportunity to scrub the stain out of his shirt as well. "Hey, Mama Sunshine. How's it going? Thanks for coming in. Love and appreciate you. How's your head?" All right, we're going to pause there for hydration because I got cotton mouth. The children in today. If the Romans didn't find the killer, there'll be soldiers in Nazareth before noon. What did I go to the right page there? Nope, I didn't. I skipped a page. I say that didn't sound right. Okay, here we go. Woo! Okay, let me see. Joshua thought it would be a good opportunity to scrub the stain out of his shirt as well. Cold. Joshua was shivering and hopping from foot to foot, as if on hot coals. Very cold. There was a small stone hut built over the baths, so they never got the direct light of the sun. Consequently, they never warmed up. Evaporation in the dry Galilee air chilled the water even more. "Maybe you should come to my house. My mother will have a breakfast fire going by now. You can warm yourself." He wrung out the tail of his shirt, and water cascaded down his legs. And how would I explain this? You sinned. Had an emergency cleansing to do." "Sinned? At dawn? What sin could I have done before dawn?" "Sin of Onan," I said. Joshua's eyes went wide. "Have you committed the sin of Onan?" "No, but I'm looking forward to it." "I can't tell your mother that I've committed the sin of Onan. I haven't." "You could if you're fast." "I'll suffer the cold," Joshua said. The good old sin of Onan. That brings back memories. The sin of Onan, spilling the old seed on the ground, cuffing the camel, dusting the donkey, flogging the Pharisee. Onanism, a sin that requires hundreds of hours of practice to get right. Or at least that's what I've told myself. God slew Onan for spilling his seed on the ground. Onan's seed, not God's. God's seed turned out to be my best pal. Imagine the trouble you'd get in if you actually spilled God's seed. Try explaining that. According to the law, if you had any contact with nocturnal emissions, which are not what come out of your tailpipe at night, we didn't have cars then, you had to purify yourself by baptism, and you weren't allowed to be around people until the next day. Around the age of 13, I spent a lot of time in and out of the mikveh, but I fudged on the solitary part of penance. I mean, it's not like that was going to help the problem. Many a morning I was still dripping and shivering from the bath when I met Joshua to go to work. "Spilled your seed upon the ground again?" he asked. "Yep. You're unclean, you know." "Yeah, I'm getting all wrinkly from purifying myself." "You could stop." "I tried. I think I'm being vexed by a demon." "I could try to heal you." "No way, Josh. I'm having enough trouble with laying on my own hands." "You don't want me to cast out your demon?" "I thought I'd try to exhaust him first." "I could tell the scribes and they would have you stoned." Always trying to be helpful, Josh was. "That would probably work, but it is written that when the oil of the lamp is used up, the wanker shall light his own way to salvation." That is not written. It's too in Isaiah. Is not. You need to study your prophets, Josh. How are you going to be the Messiah if you don't know your prophets? Joshua hung his head. "You are right, of course." I clapped him on the shoulder. "You will have time to learn the prophets. Let's cut through the square and see if there's any girls gathering water." Of course it was Maggie I was looking for. It was always Maggie. "Ah, good job, Mama. Go fix that head." By the time we got back to Sepphoris, the sun was well up, but the stream of merchants and farmers that normally poured through the Venus Gate was not there. Roman soldiers were stopping and searching everyone who was trying to leave the city, sending them back the way they came. A group of men and women were waiting outside the gate to go in, my father and some of his helpers among them. "Levi!" my father called. He ran to us and herded us to the side of the road. "What's going on?" I asked, trying to look innocent. "A Roman soldier was murdered last night. There will be no work today. Now you both go home and stay there. Tell your mothers to keep the children in today. If the Romans don't find the killer, there will be soldiers in Nazareth before noon." "Where is Joseph?" Joshua said. My father put his arm around Joshua's shoulder. "He's been arrested. He must have come to work very early. They found him at first light, near the body of the dead soldier. I only know what has been shouted from inside the gate. The Romans aren't letting anyone in or out of the city. Joshua, tell your mother not to worry. Joseph is a good man. The Lord will protect him. Besides, if the Romans thought he was the killer, he would have been tried already." Joshua backed away from my father in stiff, stumbling steps. He stared straight ahead, but obviously saw nothing. "Take him home, Biff. I'll be along as soon as I can. I'm going to try to find out what they've done with Joseph." I nodded and led Joshua away by the shoulders. When we were a few steps down the road, he said, "Joseph came looking for me. He was working on the other side of the city. The only reason he was near the Greek's house is that he was looking for me. We'll tell the centurion we saw who killed this soldier. He'll believe us. And if he believes it was Sakari, what will happen to Maggie and her family?" I didn't know what to say. Joshua was right, and my father was wrong. Joseph was not fine. The Romans would be questioning him right now. maybe torturing him to find out who his accomplices were. That he didn't know anything would not save him, and a testimony from his son not only wouldn't save him, but would send more people to the cross to join him. Jewish blood was going to be spilled one way or the other over this. Joshua shook off my hands and ran off the road into an olive grove. I started to follow, but he suddenly spun on me, and the fury of his gaze stopped me in mid-stride. "Wait," he said. "I need to talk to my father." I waited by the road for nearly an hour. When Joshua walked out of the olive grove, he looked as if a shadow had fallen permanently on his face. "I am lost," he said. I pointed over my shoulder. "Nazareth that way. Sepphoris the other way. You're in the middle. Feel better?" Hydration. You know what I mean. No help from your father, then? I always felt strange asking about Joshua's prayers. You had to see him pray, especially in those days. Before we had traveled, there was a lot of strain and trembling, like someone trying to force a fever to break by sheer will. There was no peace in it. "I'm alone," Joshua said. I punched him in the arm hard. "And you didn't feel that?" "Ouch! Why'd you do that?" "Sorry, no one around to answer you. You're so alone." "I am alone." I wound up for a full-body-powered roundhouse punch. "Then you won't mind if I smite the bejesus out of you." He threw up his hands and jumped back. "No, don't." "So you're not alone?" "I guess not." "Good. Then wait here. I'm going to go talk to your father myself." I tramped off into the olive grove. "You don't have to go in there to talk to him. He is everywhere." "Yeah, right. Like you know. If he's everywhere, then how are you alone?" Good point. I left Joshua standing by the road and went off to pray. And thus did I pray. "Heavenly Father, God of my fathers and my father's father, God of Abraham and Isaac, God of Moses, who did lead our people out of Egypt, God of David and Solomon." Well, you know who you are. "Heavenly Father, far be it from me to question your judgment, being as you are all-powerful, and God of Moses and all of the above. But what exactly are you trying to do to this poor kid? I mean, he's your son, right? He's the Messiah, right? Are you pulling one of those Abraham faith test things on him? In case you didn't notice, he's in quite a pickle here, having witnessed a murder and his stepfather under arrest by the Romans, and in all likelihood, a lot of our people who you have mentioned on more than one occasion are your favorites and the chosen, and of which I am one, by the way, are going to be tortured and killed unless he does something. So, what I'm saying here is, could you, much as you did with Samson when he was backed into a corner, weaponless, against the Philistines, throw the kid a bone here? With all due respect, your friend Biff. Amen. I was never really very good at prayer. Storytelling I'm fine with. I, in fact, am the originator of a universal story that I know has survived to this time because I've heard it on TV. It begins. 2 Jews go into a bar. Those 2 Jews? Me and Josh. No kidding. Anyway, I'm not good at prayer. But before you think I was a little rough on God, there's another thing you need to know about my people. Our relationship with God was different from other people and their gods. Sure, there was fear and sacrifice and all, but essentially, we didn't go to him. He came to us. He told us we were the chosen. He told us he would help us to multiply to the ends of the earth. He told us he would give us a land of milk and honey. We didn't go to him. We didn't ask. And since he came to us, we figure we could hold him responsible for what he does and what happens to us. For it is written that he who can walk away controls the deal. And if there's anything you learn from reading the Bible, it's that my people walked away a lot. You couldn't turn around that we weren't off in Babylon worshiping false gods, building false altars, or sleeping with unsuitable women, although the latter may be more of a guy thing than a Jewish thing. And God pretty much didn't mind throwing us into slavery or simply massacring us when we did that. We have that kind of relationship with God. We're family. So, I'm not a prayer master, so to speak. But that particular prayer couldn't have been that bad because God answered. Well, he left me a message anyway. As I emerged from the olive grove, Joshua held out his hand and said, God left a message. It's a lizard, I said. It was. Joshua was holding a small lizard in his outstretched hand. It's a lizard. All right, what time is it, kids? What's my time like, children? Let me look. Since I don't have a clock in the living room anymore. Don't ask why. I just don't. Oh, it's 10:52. Good thing we're coming to the end of the chapter, huh? All right, so where was I? There it was. Yes, that's the message. Don't you see? How was I to know what was going on? Joshua had never lied to me. Never. So if he said that this lizard was a message from God, who was I to dispute him? I fell to my knees and bowed my head under Josh's outstretched hands. Lord, have mercy on me. I was expecting a burning bush or something. Sorry. Really? Then to Josh I said, I'm not so sure you should take that seriously, Josh. Reptiles don't tend to have a great record for getting the message right. Like, for instance, let's see, that Adam and Eve thing. It's not that kind of message, Biff. My father hasn't spoken in words, but this message is as clear as if his voice had come down from the heavens. I knew that. I stood up. And the message is, in my mind, when you have been gone only a few minutes, this lizard ran up my leg and perched on my hand. I realized that it was my father giving me the solution to our problem. And the message is, you remember when we were little, the game we used to play with the lizard? Sure I do. But the message is, you remember how I was able to bring them back to life? A great trick, Josh. But getting back to the message, don't you see? If the soldier isn't dead, then there was no murder. If there was no murder, then there is no reason for the Romans to harm Joseph. So all we have to do is see that the soldier is not dead. Simple. Of course, simple. I studied the lizard for a minute, looking at it from a number of different angles. It was brownish green and seemed quite content to sit there on Josh's palm. Ask him how we're supposed to do that now. That's the end of chapter 5. That's where we're stopping tonight, kids. End of chapter 5. That's an easy one. Beginning with chapter 6 next week. So, they're going to bring the Roman soldier back to life. Like the lizard. Strange. Is he going to put the lizard, the dead Roman soldier in his mouth like he did with the lizards? The mind reels. Okay. If you're new to me, please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks for listening. It is a good book, dude. I do like it. Yeah, go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Dude, I was reading, I don't think you caught it. I picked up another book that I'm reading on the side. I'm such a slut. I'm reading several books now. Myth of the Resurrection and Other Essays by Joseph McCabe. The Free Thought Library. And this is actually collections of essays that he did, and quite a few of the little blue books that he wrote for E. Hadelman Julius. Sorry, my brain went bloop. So yeah, and it's pretty interesting. So I may actually put this one up on the YouTube channel here too. So there you go. I got to see if it's an audio book or not. But it's a pretty good one. I actually have a lot of the little blue books, so they'll be coming up here on that. So maybe I won't do that. Maybe this is just my read for pleasure. Yada, yada, yada. Okay. I did read a poem of evolution, dude, when I started. And it was a cute little poem of evolution. And let me see if I can find another one, and I'll read another one from this book of poems of evolution. Okay, here's one. This is from Little Blue Book number 71, Poems of Evolution, an anthology by Langdon Smith and others. I'm going to read the little poem. Here's the little blue book. Boop. I'm going to read the poem, Immortality. And it was written by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. Here we go. Immortality from Little Blue Book number 71, Poems of Evolution. When I was grass, perhaps I may have wept, as every year the grass blades paled and slept, or shrieked in anguish, impotent beneath the smooth, impartial cropping of great teeth. I don't remember much what came to pass when I was grass. When I was monkey, I'm afraid that trees weren't always havens of contented ease. Things killed us, and we never could tell why. No doubt we blamed the earth or sea or sky. I have forgotten my rebellion's shape when I was an ape. Now I have reached the comfortable skin this stage of living is enveloped in, and hold the spirit of my mighty race, self-conscious prisoner under one white face. I'm awfully afraid I'm going to die. Now I am I. When I was man, no doubt I used to care about the little things that happened there, and fret to see the years keep going by, and nations, families, and persons die. I don't much appreciate life's plan. Oh, I didn't much appreciate life's plan when I was man. Charlotte Perkins Gilman. And does this have a copyright date? Let me see. Oh, yeah, it does. Copyright 1924. This little book of poems of evolution is 101 years old. There you go. All right, guys, I'm cutting out for the night. I am done. I think I'm going to go have some ice cream. All right, thanks for hanging out with me, guys. I'll see you next Thursday. Peace out with sauerkraut.